Here's the start of my mini talk where I feel into my nervous system and connect it to the collective, and you get to see if any of it lands or not. So, I'm in this year-long training program for alchemical constellations. So, I've been learning about family constellations same amount of time as I've been a clinician, so 20 years. And this is wisdom from the Zulu nation in Africa. And it was appropriated from a German missionary, Bert Hellinger, and then he married it with family therapy and created family constellations. So, this group that I'm studying with has taken it to the next level, which is marrying it with Taoist alchemy. And the facilitators are both white. And when I say this, it's just descriptive. It's not judgmental or anything. And I've had really wonderful conversations around how their whiteness shows up within the group. And based on their kind of statement, the group is more mixed than they've had. And this year has been the most successful, quote unquote, that folks have been able to be together. So, zooming out, when I share this, it's not gossip, it's just information that has been shared. And I'm using it as a teaching tool. Okay. Based on multiple people's report, last year's was, quote unquote, a shit show because there was division, right? The experiences of marginalized communities side by side, quote unquote, white European communities, okay? Because it's a global training. And a lot of it was, why do we keep talking about race? So now we're zooming back into here on why I have BIPOC-only spaces. It's not so we can talk about the white people, right? It's so we have a space that we can talk about the impact of whiteness on our bodies and how we've internalized it and how it gets projected on us without having to explain why it's such a big deal. Because it impacts us every day, right? And so the folks here who are white passing or grew up in white spaces have a different experience, right? Everyone is different and everyone's experience is valuable and valid, right? But this particular space is an opportunity for us to dive deep and have conversations without the fear of upsetting someone and again, this is not a space to blame or shame anyone. It's just a space to be able to name the truth. And what's been happening now is as the group gets more and more intimate, levels of trust get pushed. So, zooming out, if you came from an experience where your caregivers were not safe, or they did not feel safe due to their immigration status, or their socioeconomic status, or their mental health status, or their neurodiversity, or whatever it is, if you did not grow up in a safe environment, as you get more and more intimate with a group of people, it will be challenged. Another yellow flag or a red flag will come up. Oh, they're not responding in a particular way, right? And I invite you to keep in it, keep pushing, right? Because it's another layer of understanding of how have I internalized this lack of safety from the outside and I've brought it in. And so when there is a lack of safety internally, we'll see it reflected externally. And it's not because they're unsafe, although there might be behaviors that are, right? So you talk about the behaviors, but everything is a mirror in on what's happening internally. I have every right to ask for what I need. I have every right to understand that this is my real experience, right? But the task is not to get everyone in the group to understand my experience as an Asian woman matters. That's my job. I know my experience matters, and I know your experience matters, and the other person's experience matters. It's the ability to create space and go, all of these can exist simultaneously. Okay? So zooming out, when I am in my functional adult and saying, this is my experience and this is what I need. If someone who historically has been resourced says, well, why do we have to keep talking about that particular part of the experience? Can't we just move forward to growth and happiness and belonging, right? When they say that, why do we have to keep talking about this experience, Judy? It lands in my body like this. So what you do, each in your squares, is go, does this resonate for me? And it might not, right? And so what happens is when it lands in my body, like, I just got minimized. I want to talk about it, right? I turn into small size and then automatically the person becomes big size. And then when I get frustrated and I keep pushing that my experience matters, why are you silencing me? I then can sometimes turn into big size. And then I am dominating or I'm trying to control the other person's response. Okay? So domination is around control. And what we're doing here is sovereignty. This is my experience. Why do we have to keep talking about your experience? Because I want to keep talking about my experience. Does it bother you? Yes, it bothers me because it makes me uncomfortable. That's okay. Thank you for letting me know it makes you uncomfortable. What resource might you need to manage your discomfort? Because me and my functional adult means I don't need to silence myself. I don't need to minimize myself, right? And I also don't need to make you take in my story in a way that you don't want to, because I respect you as a sovereign human being like me. And if you're not able to see me or resonate with me, it just means I'm a little bit more separate because we're at another intimacy point. A lot of people are feeling a little annoyed. And I'm like, oh, goody. Annoyance is good because it means there's something that can be worked out, right? So friction is an opportunity for growth or deepening. Resistance is another opportunity for growth or deepening. Conflict is another opportunity for showing up in your authenticity. Okay? And so if you're feeling that charge, good. There's nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with them. What's the data? We're at a point of more intimacy or more communication, right? And I notice for me, as we get to that point, I get anxiety because it means if I say, I'm noticing this dynamic, how does that land for people, right? It puts me at risk of certain responses from the group members. And I have to have a rigid boundary that protects me from their responses. And also a rigid boundary so I'm regulating my little ones so that my functional adult can stay in the conversation, not blow it all up like my teenager wants to. I knew they were not safe. And I'm like, shush, just hang in there. All right, that's the end of my mini talk. Everyone take a sip.